Today I'm going to give you a sneak peek into the ClickUp setup of CreativeLaunch and give you a breakdown on how rebuilding operations in ClickUp helped us transform a small creative agency into one of the fastest growing creative platforms in the industry. When we started working together about 10 months ago, we were like any other creative agency. Very talented team, amazing ads, but total chaos behind the scenes. All processes were all over the place. Team processes were overlapping and everybody was in the urgent mode. Today we are several times bigger and running like a Swiss watch. Processes are streamlined, clients are putting orders themselves through the platform, and the output is predictable. In this video, I'm going to give you an insider look into our ClickUp production. I will share you the system we had before and what we have now, and explain how the transition was made step by step. This is not just a tutorial video, this is a real-life success story.
Welcome to behind the scenes of CreativeLaunch. As I mentioned, I'm going to show you now how our production used to work before we started implementing the new system and what do we transition it to. Let's start with the old production. I will show you what we had in place and why didn't it work and why that system was not scalable. Let's start with the obvious, the structure of the space itself. As you can see from the folder structure, both in here and on the left side, the process in the company is not divided by the actual steps of the production or the flow of the business. It's concentrated around the people inside of it. In this case, you see that the editors have their own folder, strategists, preppers, and clients even have their own folder, but they all work on the same projects. Now, when we open up the folder of the clients, we can see that we have all this list for all the clients we have. And apart from it, we have a list called active projects. And even on the folder level, you can see how many views we have for different stages of the project, different people to work on, meaning the process of the whole production was not just going from view to view into the level of the folder, it was also going between the lists of active projects and client projects. When you go to the active projects, you can see how we were managing the connections was adding them to the list, so adding the same task into the list of active projects to the client project and to editor strategies, which I will show down the line. So the main bottleneck coming from this was very complicated system to use. For a team or project manager to track what was going on, what was missing, what was not, we had to open the task in the active projects, add it to the clients, add it to the editor strategies. So meaning if you miss something in ClickUp, you have a very high chance of completely missing what's going on with your client or completely miss the project itself. It adds a huge risk of making mistakes if your tasks are not added to proper lists in here, meaning it's not added to the active ones, clients, and the team working on it. And beside, after that, you also have a stage which is helping you to understand, okay, if this prepping stage, it should go to prepper. The maintenance of the system was a huge headache. And the tracking was even worse because for you to be a founder of the company, for example, or top manager to see what's actually going on, you need to go to the folder, try to see the whole production, see what's going on with the projects, have they been shipped, who has been working on it. And you can see how big this list becomes because of number of assignees. Like this is one of the biggest issue in the companies. Whatever tools you use, one task should have only one assignee. That's it. If you have 4 people assigned to a task, no one will take proper responsibility. And that's one of the biggest issues here, like what's going on, especially on the completed tasks, why people are still assigned to it. Now it gets more complicated because not all of the team members have access to it because this is high-level client information. So what we did, we created a separate folders for all the team members we had. The company has 3 main roles. It's strategist, editor, and prepper. And what happened here, they created separate folders for each person with their own lists. And for example, if you're one of these editors, you don't go to clients, you don't go to active projects because it's all overwhelming and you as an editor don't want to see all of it. You need a separate place. The solution they came up with, creating a list for each person. But this is not scalable because again, if you create a task in one place, you don't create in the other place, you lose the connection. And because of that, tasks will slip through, projects will be lost, and people will not know what's actually going on down the pipeline. The whole system worked at the start where you have a small team of a couple of people, but when we started scaling, this actually broke because the whole connection maintenance was a headache.
If you're watching this video and thinking, damn, my setup looks very much like yours before, then you need to subscribe to the channel and drop a comment. I will be happy to see what problems you have. Don't forget to like this video if you want to see more success stories like this.
Now let's discuss how we actually transition this process into a better system. First of all, as I mentioned before, whenever you're building a process in your company, your processes should not be a person-centric or a position-centric. It should be a process-centric, especially if it's client-facing services, like in the case of CreativeLaunch, creating ads. You need to have a process which goes through stages, not goes through people. What helped me to transition the system was this field we had the stage, because they were tracking what stage the project is on. But instead of actually dividing the process into the stages, they had it divided by client and by editor, by strategist, whatever. So the first thing we did during the transition is restructuring the whole production by stages of production instead of by people and client. As you can see the difference even in the number of lists we have in your ClickUp, right? Right now we have 7 stages of the whole production, and before it was a lot of folders and a lot of lists. So at least from the project management perspective, it's easier to see what stage has how many projects in it. As you can see numbers on the left, like we have 9 in setup, we have 7 in editing right now, 3 are ready to ship. And if you click on the production itself, the whole thing, you can see everything step by step. So if you're a project manager, for you to understand what's going on in your production is easily 1 second check. This small transition helped us to scale the production and the team involved in the production several times, from 4 to 5 people over to 30 people in less than 1 month. Imagine if you tried to have 30 people in this old structure. That means 30 lists for each person, and whenever you have a project, you need to add that project to their lists, and you have dozens of clients. That's hell to manage. We standardize the naming of the projects and the input of the projects, and you can see all clients have their codes, the projects have their codes, the type of the project has a code. So whenever a project comes into a setup, we know which client this is and what project this is. And when you click on the details, you can understand what order this came from. This is now also connected to the platform itself. And whenever clients are putting orders from the platform, we have all the instructions jumping into ClickUp. If you have a production team which is heavily reliant on freelancers, where you need to control the access of the list of the project information, you can limit it on the list level and stage level. For example, you can make that editors are not seeing what's going on in the brief stage, or preppers don't have access to already shipped and completed projects. This is a very waterfall system, but actually waterfall works better than anything else in this type of digital agency production companies. Whenever we have a new project coming in, it goes to setup. Project manager does the setup, assigns the team, deadline, checks all the information, and moves it forward. You mark it done, it goes to brief. Strategist finishes the brief, marks it done, goes to prep goes to editing, and whenever the edit is done, it goes to extensive QA. And once the QA is done, it's ready to ship. And once it's shipped, it's complete. And whenever we have a revision request from our clients, which is again automatically connected to the platform, the system finds the completed project, adds the revision request, kicks it back to revision, and now the strategist and project manager know, oh, we have a revision request. And whenever we get a revision request, we see what stage is it from. Like, is it an editing request, a strategy request, and we can automatically assign it to the correct stage of the production, kicking the project back into the same circle. For example, if it goes to editing, it goes to editing, QA, ready to ship, completed. This looks like not a big shift from what we had in the old production and what we have right now, because in the old production we had the same stages as a field, which we already have here too. Like, we have the stages as a field too. But the smallest change on how you keep your lists, your folders, and your structure in your ClickUp, Notion, Asana, whatever, right? That can be your biggest bottleneck. As you can see in this case, just shifting this helped us increase the team size 10 times, increase the workload of the project over 10 times within a month, and we're having less problems on projects than we had before. Less deadlines are missed, less mistakes are made, easier onboarding for the team. Everything has been easier, quicker, faster, better quality. And the beauty of the system is that adding more people doesn't break it. It actually makes it better. This is a process made to be better on the scale. The more projects you have in, the more work you have for your team. More works means more outcome from the team, meaning they become better over the time. Plus, more workload means that the processes are being tested more every day. For now, we are having 40, 50 projects coming in the system and going out every day. And whenever we have a small issues coming up, we see them on the point. This helps you continuously improve your process, test ideas, automations. As I always love to say, don't automate stuff for the sake of it. Test them manually. That's what we do here. We started manually adding projects to the system when we automated it, because we were like, okay, input is always the same. Then we started manually moving in from stage to double check if all the information is correct during the checkpoints. Now that we have systemized way of checking all the things, it's all automated. From the project manager's perspective, who had to micromanage the task between the lists, freelancers, communicated back and forth, now what project manager needs to do is actually do the setup. Whenever the project comes in, project manager just decides the team who will be working on it, put the deadline, make sure information is there, pass it forward, and then project manager checks it at the end when it's already completed. When other agencies are taking at least a week or two to create one ad, this system helps us deliver 5 ads in less than 72 hours. And everything started with a small structural change in the ClickUp. CreativeLaunch is one of the greatest examples of why you should put more thought into building the structure of your business, the structure of your operations. Because if you rush into it, if you rush into the tools, and I've seen so many founders who just rush into the tool thinking the tool will solve it for themselves without thinking about the processes, cleaning them up. And that will help you to move from this messy setup into this small, easy to navigate setup, which increases your output dozens of times. The cherry on the top, the production dashboard. Before, it was impossible to track what was going on in the system. Now, we have a full dashboard which shows us how many projects we have active, how many people are assigned to how many projects, what's the time of a project sitting in any of the stages, in any of the statuses, how many people are having what kind of workload by the stage, by the team members. So at any point of any time, I can go into production, I can see what's actually going on right now. And this is connected to customer support system, making the communication back and forth easy.
This is the whole breakdown on how changing a couple of small processes and putting them into a system like ClickUp helped CreativeLaunch to transform completely and become one of the fastest growing leaders in your industry. As you saw, it's not just about tools or automations, it's about putting thought behind the systems. Everything can be scaled if you have a really good operation and structure to back you up. If you want to discuss ideas on how you can rebuild your own business, book a free consultation with me. I have left a link in the description of this video. I'm looking forward to new challenges you can bring to me, guys. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and see you next time.